This is Firm Somosa with Adrian Feinberg and Angela Basara. We started out with 2 brands. Initially, they were Soft and Solo, and we targeted specifically the shoppers, savers, and explorers. For Soft, we initially targeted just the shoppers and the savers, and for Solo, we initially just targeted the explorers and the shoppers. We always were trying to hit for a high brand awareness of greater than 70% for all of our customer segments. But in the end, we ended up ranking 4th out of 4 firms. A lot of this was due in part to inadequate commercial team distribution. We were focusing specifically on mass merchandisers, but just didn't actually put enough money allocated into that segment. We also had an overproduction of Soft, and it created a high inventory holding cost. We even tried completely stopping production for an entire period of Soft to try to get rid of some of the inventory holding. Unfortunately, because of low retail sales and revenue, we were unable to get rid of a lot of the inventory and ended up having another high inventory holding cost the following period. We did have a steady decline for the brand from period 3 to 5, which overall caused a low stock market price index and revenue. We started out with a fairly good stock market price index of about 1,009, but it ended up having a total decrease of about 299. From periods 5 to 6, there was an increase of 98, but a lot of this was due to the fact that we ended up discontinuing completely Soft, focusing on Solo for a period, and then introducing a new brand called Soul at the very, very end. The brand lost a lot of its edge in the 4th period. We were able to maintain with the explorers and the shoppers for a greater than 70% brand awareness for Solo. But unfortunately, even with Soft with a brand awareness that was relatively high, the purchase intentions remained relatively low and then ended up decreasing through the subsequent periods because of poor commercial team allocation and advertising. We ended up creating a new brand after discontinuing brand Soft in period 4. In period 5, we created Soul. We were able to launch it in period 6. This caused an overall improvement in the entire company. The brand Soul actually did better in the Explorers segment during period 6 than the other brands that were actually running in, I guess, first place for that segment. This created an increase in the stock market price index, but unfortunately, we still did remain 4th out of 4 at the very end of the period. As you can see, this is our stock market price index. We started out, like I said, about 1,009. You can see the decrease through the periods, and then at the very end, we did have an increase, showing that with more time, brand Soul and brand Solo would have been successful, specifically looking at the Explorer segment for brand awareness and purchase intentions, which obviously would hopefully mean an increase in revenue for the entire firm. This is generally just showing our overall performance as far as revenue and earnings before taxes. You can see that there were 2 firms, Firm R and Firm M, who were very successful. And although we did have an increase in the very last period, we were overall 4th in the industry. As you can see also, this is a depiction of the trend in retail sales through all 6 periods for each brand. Obviously, you can see that brand Rock did the best, but we did have a significant increase because of introducing a new product at the very, very end, as well as discontinuing an unsuccessful product. What have we learned? That having a high brand awareness does not always necessarily mean that the purchase intentions are going to be high. The purchase intentions are related to commercial team allocation and advertising. So if you do have enough revenue to push commercial teams and to push advertising, it's best to go ahead and do that. regardless of whether a product is new or if it is stable in the market. Much money needs to be put forth into that. That way, you know, people know about your brand, but they're also willing to buy it. We also learned that if you have a product that's not successful, go ahead and get rid of it. We unfortunately hung on to Soft a little bit too long, thinking that it would turn around because we could see that the brand awareness was high and that we were trying to continue to move into the segment and to fit into the market's ideal values. But unfortunately, we hung on to it a little bit too long. And because of that, we weren't able to launch a new product until period 6. But that product was extremely successful. And we do believe that if the periods had continued, we would have seen a very large increase in revenue through the next couple of periods, and hopefully would not have ended up in 4th place at the very end. Like I said, focusing on commercial team, distribution, and advertising, regardless of whether it's a new product or not, we have seen that these things are very, very important. In fact, they seemed a little more important than even having you know, a price that was set up to where it wasn't too high, wasn't too low. That really just taking what you could and focusing on getting the product out there and getting it well known and getting it to be the product that people want to purchase instead of just it being the product that you would like for people to have. Like I said, eliminate a non-profitable brand early. It saves on cost. We ended up with continuing to have a high inventory holding cost even towards the very end. That was causing a big dent in our ability to even create a new product towards the end. But luckily, we were able to see that by creating this new product, we were able to create something that was successful above all other products in the Explorers segment. This obviously will cause an increase in brand contribution and an increase in stock price index, which is always what we're looking for in the very end. Like I said, finding that segment that you think is going to be very successful is important. We tried to focus on a couple of different segments that maybe weren't going to be as successful, but just going ahead and allocating a little bit of money towards them just to see if we could have them purchase. They were not successful, and we should not have done that. Don't overproduce products. Go ahead and keep an eye on it, and if you see that your inventory holding cost is going up, go ahead and decrease production. Don't always be the lowest price. Don't always be the highest price. Try to fit into what your segment is looking for. Like the Savers were always looking for something more economical. And like I said, try to promote something as much as possible to get the purchase intentions increased. Thank you.